Welcome to GLS Carriers Presents Team Talk. I'm Ken Cox, and I have the sniffles. Today we have Francis Ham.
Hi.
And Kenny Coons. And we are
Drivers for Drivers.
Today we've got a pretty good lineup. We'll go over some housekeeping items. We'll go over some distracted driving. We'll go over being a good neighbor. And we'll kind of go from there. Francis, we've got some office changes.
We do. We've got a new member of the team that has joined us this week, Candace. And looking forward to having her on the team. She's been a pleasure to be with right now and really upbeat, and definitely welcome her onto the team.
Welcome, Candace. Last week we presented a question of how many miles did GLS Carriers put down in 2022? The answer was 3,516,27. The first person who got back to me on that was Jake. He got $100 in his settlement. Jake, thanks for looking at that. And I also asked him, where did he find that? A couple other drivers found it in different places that I wasn't aware of. So that was also on our website under Ship With Us, and I didn't know it was there. So that's cool. Thanks, Jake, for that. Jake found it on Safer, and that is a website that we use to check people's DOT authorities and see if they're current. That also ties in with the SMS scores, which we'll talk about next week when they come out. And so we can kind of use that as a scorecard for drivers coming on with their own authorities and that kind of stuff. So
they cheated.
Jake, you cheated. Good on you. Well, also, let's talk about Carthage Yard.
You bet.
Where are we at on that?
Got a lot of exciting stuff happening down in Carthage, Missouri. So first of all, I don't know if any of our guys have driven by the facility yet, right there on Interstate 49. But if you haven't, we got some drone pics, and Danny, can you help out on putting some drone pics up for us?
There they are.
So on the first picture that you're looking at, you'll see the lower part of the yard, and just as a reference, there's a tractor trailer just coming off the on-ramp, and you can see it's got a red cab, red tractor, and a white trailer. That entire area that you see being worked there, that is the lower part of our yard. So it's a good size piece of property there. The weather has been fairly decent, so they've had all the equipment out working, and it looks like we are going to make our deadline. You know, we originally talked about the 1st of April, and then we kind of kicked it out because that was asking a lot with the weather through the winter, and this winter has been kind of a tough one, you know, with all the moisture and snow and everything else. So we kicked it out to the end of the month, and I think we're probably going to come in mid-month or so. So they're working that. And then on the next picture, you can see the entrance of the yard, and that is coming in off of Baker Boulevard. So there's some aggregate down there right now. That's just to keep the mud and stuff from coming out onto the roadway during construction. But eventually that will be finished out with a concrete road that goes down to the lower yard, and it'll have grass on both sides and some trees and street lights and just some real nice stuff there going into the facility. And then right there at the end of the road, before you actually get into the yard, we'll have a power gate there and chain link fence and stuff. So it's really coming along well. So if you haven't been by there and you go by, make sure you take a look over and see it. It's pretty exciting.
Have you seen it?
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Well, I've got one for you guys. Distracted driving. What does distracted driving mean to you?
When I think of distracted driving, thinking of a driver reaching down to grab food or drinks, or yawning, your eyes closed, you know, all sorts of things that go with distracted driving.
Watching videos going down the road, which is highly illegal. Don't do it. Texting.
Yeah.
Singing really loud and not just focusing on the road. I mean, those are all things that I kind of think of.
Yeah. You bet. One of the things that I think of, I guess I look at it a little bit different. We're getting to that time of the year right now where people have been cooped up, right, all winter long, working, doing their thing. All of a sudden, weather's starting to change. We're seeing 60s and 70-degree temperatures in the southern part of the United States. People are getting their campers out. They got the grandkids in their vehicle with them. They're going to head out to the lake and have fun. And they've been at home for all this time. Everybody's eager to go, and they got all this stuff happening in their vehicle, and they're not paying attention, and they are distracted. And for us as a professional driver, we have to be aware of that. And it really comes out this time of the year, even with some of the folks who like to jump on their motorcycles and go for a ride, you know. Their bikes have been sitting in the garage now for 3 or 4 months, and they're eager to get out and have a good time. So when they jump on their bike, they're checking it out, make sure everything's still working good, and they're kind of distracted on what they're doing. So I ask, just keep an extra eye open for those folks that are out there like that and understand what they're kind of going through. You know, it's easy to get upset, you know, when people do things on the road, but just understand, you know, where their frame of mind is at this time. So
Do some defensive driving. Yeah.
yeah.
These guys paying attention. I don't know what the percentage is. Most accidents occur when drivers let their guard down. I think it's over 50% of truck driving accidents are when a driver's 25 miles from home, you know. He's like driving and still getting his bag ready to get out of the truck. You know, it seems. Which you can't hardly blame him, but defensive driving, we need to be on point at all times. You know.
And to speak to the distracted driving and the defensive driving, when you're in the yard and you're going, the speed limit there is 10 miles an hour. We got to make sure that we're doing it. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people moving around, and there's a lot of equipment that's being worked on. So when in the yard, make sure 10 miles an hour. Do not go over that. If you could help us out, we would appreciate that. That's also being a good neighbor, kind of.
I know one way of being a good neighbor is when we're sitting at these facilities to get loaded or unloaded, and you see a guy struggling to back into the hole next to you, and you're on edge because you don't want him to hit you. Mm-hmm. You know, let's get out and give the guy a hand. You know, give him a little guidance if you can, and may prevent an accident as well. You know, when our drivers are backing in or something, if I don't know how many of them have pets that ride with them, but if a guy's walking back and has his pet or out walking his dog while you're backing in, you got a dog with you and he starts going crazy, yeah, that could distract you as well, and you could have an accident.
For sure.
You know?
Sure.
So what's something you would do? Let's say you see, you know, a feller backing in and he needs help, obviously. What's something that you would do, first thing you would do?
Well, I think first I'd probably approach him, ask him if I can help him in any way. And then 2 things. I think one would be, if they say yeah and I can help them, first of all, don't put myself at risk of, you know, being involved in an incident. So if they're backing up, don't go behind a truck or trailer or anything like that. But communicate with them on hand signals, you know, so that you're both on the same page. If you're making a solid fist, that means stop, you know, or if you're doing one of these, that means, hey, you're that close to the dock, you know, as it goes down, just so that you guys are both on the same page, so that when you are communicating with them and assisting them, you're speaking the same language with hand signals.
I would also add that if you're out and about, same with the yard concept, if you're out, the shipper and receiver is busy, the more visible you can be, put on a safety vest, and so you can be seen. If you don't have a safety vest, you want a safety vest, get a hold of me. Let's get your size and I'll get you a safety vest, and let's be safe out there. Let's you know, do the right thing.
Sure.
Being a good neighbor, you know, that starts a conversation too.
Sure.
Between drivers, you know, they thank you for your help, you know, and maybe the conversation starts up on who you drive for and how you like it.
Right, and that's
You get some recruiting out of this as well.
Sure.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Well, and so we've got three more drivers coming on. Francis was down at the Carthage yard and was talking to some gentlemen down there, and he has a few trucks. And so the first truck's heading out today. He's heading to Kentucky, pick up a trailer. The other two will be up here on Monday, and we'll get them through an orientation. But yeah, being a good neighbor and just having a good conversation will bring those people, those good quality people here. We're not just, a revolving door. We don't want people just to fill seats. We, get their scorecards. We make sure that they're qualified and, be a good fit for Drivers4Drivers. Remember, you guys are the fourth driver in this.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about neighbors and being good neighbors. When one of the visits that we were down in Carthage and actually visiting with the city, we talked about the lot and what we were doing and how excited we were to be part of that community. And it was surprising to me how much they wanted us to be part of their community as well. And it wasn't just a lip service thing. I think that, that part of the country is pretty tight. People, they're great people too. And they were really excited that, hey, we got some new folks coming into the area. And they showed us not only the town on a map and kind of went through everything, but they took us over to the power plant and showed us that, and to the water treatment plants, just kind of showed us what the city consisted of, and went through some historical data on, I thought this was pretty cool. And why don't I get you a picture of this too, Danny, that we can share. But we went into their powerhouse, and they've got like 12 power generators that are in a building, and these things date back like into the 40s, and they still look brand new. They're just incredible. And these guys that work on that and keep that stuff running, I got the opportunity to talk to them, and I told them just a remarkable job. I mean, you could eat off the floor in this place. It's that clean. And just the pride that they have in what they do every day, that's their job, is to make sure that those power generators are there when they need them, and they treat them well. It looks great. It is just pretty exciting to be part of touring that, and I think it's going to be exciting for us as a whole to be part of that community.
Didn't you learn some history too? A lot of the rock down there was used in D.C. Is that what you were?
Absolutely. The caves. A lot of our guys have been down into the caves there in Carthage, and when they made those caves, they were cutting out that rock, and a lot of that white stone that's down there went to Washington, D.C. for construction of the monuments and like the White House and stuff like that. It all came from that area.
Oh,
yeah, pretty cool.
Exciting history.
Yeah, that's really
I had
neat.
no idea.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Let's form that into a question. What Kenny was talking about earlier about how many miles and what's the percentage before you get home that most of the accidents happen. If that doesn't make sense, reach out. Let me, and I'll try and booger it together. But yeah, let's
read it on the bottom there of the thing. We'll perfect it and put the question on the bottom.
Put the question on the bottom. Okay, that's the question.
We'll put it in the description too. So.
Okay, perfect. Right on. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I like the bigger flag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Francis, you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think for us, we've got an exciting thing happening. Right now our office is upstairs on the second floor.
Yeah.
And the construction crew on the lower floor of the building toward the south, they're starting to tear out some old walls and carpet, and they're going to renovate that area for us. And we're going to be able to move the entire team down there, so that's going to almost double the size of our office area, and allow us some space to really grow in. And pretty excited about that opportunity to be able to move our operation downstairs there and into that new office.
Fantastic.
One thing I'd like to thank all the guys. We've had a pretty rough winter on from the Midwest to the West this year. Has just been horrible, and I don't believe we've had any accidents of any sort. They've all stayed pretty safe out there, and congrats to you guys. I know there's been multi-truck pileups in Wyoming and all over, and knock on wood, our guys have done a superb job, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely, 100% agreed.
Well, as we end this episode, we want to thank you for making the right choices, being safe. You are the eyes and ears on the road. If you see something, say something. We're successful when you have completed your trip safely and you're home with your loved ones. We will see you next week.
See ya.
See ya.